and welcome to this class. So we're going to paint this beautiful seascape, and it's a picture from Dana Point in California. So I really wanted to paint it. My daughter's in the background. The first thing I'm gonna do is wet the paper. So we're gonna wet it. We're gonna forget about the rocks here. We don't need to think about it right now. And we're just gonna wet the top part, paint the sky, and then we're gonna dry brush through as we're painting the rest of our painting, because we have waves and we have lots of reflections over the water. That's why. So wet it quickly. This is my flat 3/4 brush, size brush of golden 2. So there's a lot of blue. So the thing is that when the paper is so small, we don't have that much room, right, to play with colors. So I do want a little bit of that blue sky. So I'm grabbing some milk-like ratio of that phthalo blue, even maybe more like a half and half like ratio. I don't want the paint to spread too much, but this is my blue portion of the sky here. A little more. Then I'm gonna grab, quickly I have to clean the brush first, a little bit of red with some of this yellow and start adding it from the right side, just like we see it in the sky. There's a little bit of that. This is still the flat brush just because I feel comfortable with it, but if you don't, just don't hesitate to grab like a smaller brush. This is yellow, blue, red now, adding the 3 colors combined together, maybe show more of the blue. And the clouds are much darker too, like here for example. So yellow, blue, red, you create a natural shade of a gray color. I need a little more of these 3 colors. It's very quick blend. I want these to be darker, but again, I am just using primary colors, yellow, blue, red, very gently, because I am using a paper where paint spreads super fast, and on top of that, I don't have that much space to play with this. Like, this is just a sky, and look how little it is. I don't have much room, so I have to pick and choose which clouds I want to show the most. And I do want to show that the sky becomes a little darker there, maybe a little more blue here, but it is becoming darker overall. So that's this part, maybe a little bit there, although that should be a little lighter according to what I see in the reference. Now I want you to grab something comfortable. This is a round 8 softer brush, so my golden 2, but whatever brush you feel comfortable with. Now let's not forget the washi tape. The washi tape can misbehave, and then the water and paint go down, and then that ruins our painting. So I am gonna grab the same 3 colors, yellow, heavy cream like ratio, there's red, blue. If I want this to feel more like a orange like, which kind of should be a little bit, I'm gonna start right here. Try to dry brush. Now, dry brushing happens when you don't have much paint on your brush, and you can hear it. Maybe you can't hear mine, but if you listen to your brush quietly, you can hear a little bit of that dry brushing. So I want you to do a little bit of dry brushing. So try not to have much on your brush. And then we're gonna try to paint some of these waves. So where are the waves? So first of all, I'm gonna go right above. So this is where the wave is. Again, not enough paint on your brush, just enough to create like a wave. So now you can hear the dry brushing happening. Although this should be actually colored, so I just added water. And then I'm gonna dry brush through again. This is blue, but it should be like yellow and red. All the colors. So this is all just dry brushing, nothing else. Not much to it, just dry brushing. Some water, spread some parts. Now what's happening is we have this part, which is like a reflection of from the sun coming down here over the sand. We can add a lot of these pieces later, but we can also add some sand right away. So that's my flat 3/4 again, and I'm gonna use some of this This is yellow ochre mostly. I prefer to paint this part, to be honest, wet on wet. But since I'm painting most of it wet on dry, and this is a damp brush, and I'm just going to connect the parts, then I'll just stick with it. And then I want to make this sand a little darker. I'm going to grab some of this blue violet. So this is yellow, blue, some red. There's too much yellow that flew in there, and then some hair. And then more of that yellow ochre. Actually, this is a little bit of burnt sienna too. I have so many colors mixed up because I'm creating the series. So I just keep going over my palette. This is more of the orange. So I need some blue as well. Add it here, make it shadowed from this side. And what else? We can add some shadows. So for example, I'm gonna grab my round 8, golden 1, or I'm sorry, golden 2. And I'm gonna grab some heavy cream like Raczynska, red, Van Dyke brown, fellow blue. I want the shadows underneath these waves. So I can't really catch these ones because this is already dried. But if it's something you still feels damp, try to add some more color. Just to add shadow, this should be more bluish. Just gonna go right underneath here. And I'm gonna clean the brush and go with that damp brush underneath. That's because that has dried. If it didn't dry, then it would be easier to add it wet on wet. But now I have like a little shadow, let's say. And then I can grab more of this Van Dyke brown. Let's not forget the blue, Van Dyke brown, some red. And just like we see, there's like rocks and things and footprints. We might as well add that to our background. But you know what? Mistake here. I'll tell you why. Because this needs to go with the perspective. Like I can't have big rocks in the background. They can be in the foreground, but not in the background. The distance, right? It makes no sense otherwise. So we are gonna get to this rock in just a second. This is all dry brushing, quickly painted. Basically, we can add more shadow if we want to. Let's say like here. And then that was wet on dry, and then you add water with that damp brush underneath that. And that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna wait for this to dry. All right, let's paint these rocks. We're going to use different colors. Some yellow, like a yellow ochre, Van Dyke brown. So let's start with this yellow ochre, a little bit dry brush through. Clean the brush. Grab some of this blue. This is our undertone, the undertone colors. And then we're gonna add the darks. Oops, I went a little too low there. And now grab, this was milk like Raczynska, 1 or 2 milk. And now you're gonna grab like a heavy cream like Raczynska of Van Dyke brown with some blue. And you're aiming for like the darkest parts that you see over the rock. So you don't add it everywhere. You're kind of looking for the areas where to add it. So this is a little darker. If you want to make it darker, you add some blue to your brown. So this is a rough watercolor paper, so it's easy to dry brush and make these shapes not even. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I think that's it. There's some rocks like there in the water and stuff, but I don't need to like focus in them too much. And a little more blue if I want to make it darker. Not everywhere, just in some areas. What else? I can use that brush that has that paint, and let's say add a little shadow just like we see under the waves. This maybe with a little bit of blue, just like we see the reflections. Just as dry brushing, just clean dry brushing, that's it. And now we can add a couple birds, just little, like almost like check marks, but add more to it. So it's like you're starting and then up, or this was a flatter one. And then little dots too for the birds. And then if you want to add tiny little rocks, but that was something we should have done earlier. All right, I'm gonna remove the washi. So thank you so much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions.